amount of time, especially in these highly specialised, highly skilled GT cars. Has done a very good job today. And that GT3 AM battle as well has been really good. And Greg Taylor, who's the AM driver in that number 5 Adena Property Group entry, has been a very, very worthy performance at this point in time. They've got 3 laps up on their nearest rival, which is Roger Largo's JBS Racing Lamborghini.
Stephen Kane in 3rd position has managed to eke out the 7.2 seconds that will give him just a little bit of a breathing space for that 3rd place on the podium. I think the 4 car coming in right away, Quilty, was Scotty getting out, and the car owner, Stephen Grove, giving the honour of bringing it to the line. That's what I would have done.
Good call. He did say that that's what would happen. He said about an hour ago that given the opportunity, they've got a 16-lap lead in that class because of just an epic Ironman, 3-man Ironman stints with the number 4 car, number 60 car meanwhile on pit road.
So they've got a lap up on the JBS Lamborghini, 9th and 10th on the road. Will Davison behind the wheel, just sitting in pit lane.
Are they soaking a penalty up there, guys?
No one's touching the car.
Stop and hold penalties aren't particularly common. Fire up and go.
Or not.
9th place on the road for this car. It's had a troubled day. They will hold that position though.
I'm going to suggest that that's not in 1st gear.
I'm going to suggest that that's not firing on all cylinders.
Yeah.
Imagine life as a windshield at Mount Panorama too. Not sure exactly how Will Davison's seeing out of that, but nevertheless, especially through right-hand corners, looking across to the apex.
So 17 minutes remain, and Shane van Gisbergen has been pulling away gradually from the Nissan. All of a sudden, though,
Chio's not done yet, Graham. 2:03.03, fastest lap for that car of the day. Not giving up. Because at Mount Panorama, you just never know. There's still 16 minutes to go as we work towards lap 290.
The bottom of the car scraping the curbs as Van Gisbergen comes down through the dipper again on his 289th time, or at least on the car's 289th time. Shane hasn't been in it for all the laps, of course. And we're in the last 16 minutes.
Still hear that front splitter scraping on the ground.
Well, they run them effectively now like a Formula car. You're running 0 ride height. You basically jack the car up just enough so that it clears the ground on the bumpy bits.
Led 93 laps today, Techno Autosport. The Nissan in that middle stint, or later middle stint of the race, sort of hours 6 till 9, eked their way in front. 107 laps led for car 1. They've led a bulk of the running today. There's 200 laps between those 2 cars. The Bentleys, both of them, have shared the lead. Car 36, the Erebus SLS, was out in front early, and car 63, they led a couple of laps during one of those early pit stop shuffles. But 107 laps in front for car number 1. Techno drawing ever closer to that number as they start lap 290. The gap constant at 13.7 seconds. Chio takes another half a second out of the lead that time round. He's doing everything he can. He needs some help from something, someone, somewhere to help close that margin to Shane van Gisbergen. Stephen Kane has eked away from Lawrence Vantor. Was going to take something amazing from Vantor to get that podium position away.
So car 60, the sister McLaren's been chasing a little gremlin all day, and they've had to do a couple of little reboots on it. So that's all that was, with Will coming into the pits to get that car restarted. Now, you could say that you could just do that on the racetrack and save yourself the time of having to come down pit lane like we saw Alvaro Parent do earlier. Now, why would you not do that on the racetrack, guys? Because if it doesn't restart, you bring out the safety car and you cost the other car a potential win. So White's thinking to just do that reboot in the pits, even if it does cost them an extra 40 seconds.
Yeah, and that's actually not the standard operating procedure. You picked up on a cracker there, because teams would rather do it out on the track when you've got the issue with everything running, rather than having to put it onto the pit lane speed limiter and add another variable into the potential electrical gremlin. We've seen it even as high up as the LMP1 cars at Spa and Le Mans, with Porsche preferring Romain Dumas to do that Control-Alt-Delete while he was rolling on the pit, on the racetrack, rather than bringing it down in the pit. So that is a change of normal operating procedure from the McLaren teams working together at the front of the field, and brilliantly picked up by Chad down there in the pits.
It's a good spot. This is up at the top of the racetrack at the elbow. Taking liberties where he can. With just a few minutes to go in the race, and this from on board. Think quick, Chio, think quick, and that's what he did.
Think quick, steer quicker. That's remarkable, isn't it?
These guys operate at such a high level.
Their clock speed is different to everyone else's. It's as simple as that in IT terms. 60 is out, but not up to speed, as through goes Laurent Vanteur.
The battered Bentley behind them.
Now, that Bentley could do his teammate a bit of a favour here by getting through. Andy Soucek gets through in front of that Audi, and he puts himself between that car and Stephen Kim, who granted has pulled out 7 seconds, but I think the M Sport team would like to see a little more green and white between those two cars.
Phoenix Racing have shown their class today. 2012 winners of this motor race with Chris Meese, Chris DeJonts and Darryl O'Young. I know Darryl's watching. He loves this place. He's won it twice, this motor race, and we'll be back next year, he tells us, with a couple of Porsche GT3Rs. Most things should be weapons at this place.
Darryl O'Young is, I saw him here yesterday. He was cruising the paddock, and here is the pass. Now, this is not for position, but significant in terms of protecting third place for the sister Bentley.
I suspect the Audi's tyres are done.
Yeah.
It's just unable to respond to the pace of the Bentley ahead.
It was going to take some kind of move to get the job done, because he was going to have to do it at the cutting and between the cutting to the elbow, and then risk being passed again in a straight line. But where they've been so classy is their strategy. They've completed 3 less pit stops than the 2 cars in front of them on the road, and they've kept themselves in the game by being smart, by being consistent with a couple of really good driving stints as well. It's a pleasure to watch. Lauren Thantor, Winkelhock was epic. Alex Davison contributed well. Just such an amazing team. May they keep coming back to this place time and time again, because that's going to be good fun.
We talk, Crailsy, don't we, about how in a 12-hour race getting pole position doesn't normally make a lot of difference. How many times has the pole sitter won
only
here?
Twice the leading car has gone on to win the motor race, and in both occasions by no means has it been comprehensive. So
11 minutes left, and Chio takes a second out of the lead.
it's remarkable they're still doing the times they are after 290 odd laps of Mount Panorama. And if you'd suggest to somebody, anybody in this pit lane, that you'd be punching out mid-203s after 290 laps of a 12-hour race, you said that 3 or 4 years ago, you'd be laughed at.
Oh, you would have been laughed at. You'd been carted away by men in white coats.
And the resurfacing of the circuit 24 months ago helped the cause, yes, but the pace of development in GT3 racing is unbelievable. And we spoke yesterday about the goalpost being moved with what Shane Van Gisbergen did for pole, and they continue to be so.
And don't forget, there is a tyre war. 2 different companies here supplying tyres. It's not a spec tyre, so you can't be as conservative as you might want to be as a tyre supplier when it's a single manufacturer. And Pirelli have pulled out the stops, bringing the special VLN tyre that was tested last year in Germany for the rounds on the Nordschleife. That's what they've supplied to their customers here. They knew they needed something special to take on the might of Michelin around here. And that is why battles between teams and suppliers are always good for not just the motor racing, but also for us at the end of the day, because this is a laboratory at 300 kilometers an hour for Pirelli, and the Bentley the same for Michelin. Through comes the Grove car. Stephen Grove behind the wheel of that machine, the Grove Hire car. That is a big party in Prospect as well.
The tension up and down the garages is immense, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Because it's still tense in 11 seconds. We've become accustomed to these last lap shootouts at Mount Panorama, but we need to remember they've been racing for 12 hours. 11 seconds covering 2 cars after 12 hours and 40 seconds covering 4 of them is unbelievable. It shows how competitive this race has been and how deep the field is that we could even get to that point and talk about the race changing hands in the final half an hour. Because endurance races of old, you'd be winning by 6 laps.
Yeah.
And we'd be inventing things to think about. Tension down in the Nismo camp. Great collaboration between the UK, Australia and Japan to put this program together. And should they end up second, it's certainly no dishonour after a victory last year. It's not a bad defence of your Bathurst title.
They will look back on the early sessions, I think, at Nissan and just wonder why they couldn't get the balance of the car better in those early sessions. Qualifying 13th ultimately didn't hurt them that much, but there was clearly something not quite right with that new car. That's not the same car that won last year. There have been some revisions and perhaps there's still a little learning process, but it will be back next year. Nissan Australia have bought the car and it will race again at this race in 12 months' time, and we hope to see it out in some of the late season Aussie GT races. That's the gap between first and second. That's what it looks like on Conrod Straight.
It didn't look the force that it was in 2015 for much of the week, did it, the GTR, but it came into its own during the race. And Chio has been magnificent in pursuit of Shane van Gisbergen, a man that, let's face it, guys, has been a level apart from much of the rest of the grid.
Can you remember any fumble or mistake by the Nissan?
No, and as far as I can recall, they've only been passed on track once or twice today. A couple of times in pit lane, hasn't quite worked, but they've been immense. Unbelievable performance, 11.8. Chio takes more time out, and he's still going very close to the personal best lap of the car.
7 minutes.
The fact Van Gisbergen did a 2:01.5 on lap 23 was another. The lap after that, he did a 1:06, so he backed up that. He's the only car to do a 2-minute and 1 in a motor race at Mount Panorama ever, and he did a couple of them, and that showed their superiority. That was just a warning early on this morning that, bang, we've got this if we need it.
How big is this going to be for McLaren, Graham? You mentioned that they haven't won any of the really big international races since 1995. The whole of the GT programme is at Woking.
It's going to be huge because McLaren's first effort at GT3, great looking car, but really wasn't quite the full ticket. Though we saw the car have some fantastic runs, including here, but this is a whole different ball game, and what they're looking for is a 200-mile-an-hour billboard, and that's exactly what they've got here.
Ashley Vettiger has tweeted in using the hashtag B12HR. What's the marks on the windows, the windscreens of the Techno cars? It's just a little place where you see them there. They've either got some dirt on it, or it's a little bit of dirt that's got under the 2 layers of the tear-offs. You can still see this tear-offs if you look to the extreme left-hand side of the windscreen. You can see a little dark triangle there. That's where the mechanic would get hold of it and peel off the thin film. And that's either just a little bit of dirt that's on there that they haven't wiped off, or it's just got between the 2 layers and they've just sort of delaminated the 2 very thin layers of plastic.
And these windscreens with the tear-offs are actually built in
together.
In one piece, or what they don't do is fit the tear-offs to an old windscreen.
No, that's right. The windscreen is out of the car, and the tear-offs sometimes up to 6 or 7 different layers, which have to be, of course, absolutely optically correct. It's a very, very skilled job to get it done.
10.2 seconds, but only 5 minutes remain now.
He's going, is Chio, 2:03.2 last time round. It's only 2/10 slower than his best lap of the motor race. We should mention McLaren have brought an army with them here, 15 people from the UK, including a lot of the head honchos of their GT program. Andrew Cocotti, who's raced in this race, is here. Baz Linders, who's taking over their GT program, is here. Dave Eden, who's the head of PR for McLaren Road Cars and their GT program, is here. So they've brought this in force, and it's been an amazing result. It's the first time they've thrown everything they've got at this race. They've had a toe-in-the-water exercise for the last couple of years with Tony Quinn's team to privateer entries. 2-car team, Techno Autosports partnering up. It's been an enormous, enormous program.
If we go to the end of the race, we'll have done 1 hour and 19 minutes safety car free. Already we're at the 2nd longest green flag stint, and we have seen the cars performing to their best along with the teams and drivers.
29 different lead changes in the race. That is a record for the Liqui Moly Bathurst 12 Hour between 8 different cars.
And Gio still pushing the fastest first sector for the car. If these guys are going down, they're going to go down with honour.
Yeah, it's insane, isn't it? With margin 10 seconds.
It's under that now.
You can never give up at Mount Panorama.
People tuned in around the world to the last 3.5 minutes. Well, thanks to our streaming partners for a superb international stream that has garnered compliments and comments from literally around the globe, taking the 2016 Liqui Moly Bathurst 12 Hours to a bigger global audience than ever before, as well, of course, as being flag to flag here in Australia on 7 and 7 mate. And still the Bentley pushing on with 11 seconds to go. 2:02.9 for Gio.
8.4 seconds with 3 minutes remain.
1.7 seconds out of Shane van Gisbergen last time round. He is going down swinging. Fastest lap of the car for the day on lap 295. We're on the 296th lap. At the end of this lap, we equal the most number of laps completed in the motor race.
And this is why this is such a fan favourite. They race with spirit, and Gio's doing exactly that with 2.5 minutes remaining. 2 laps it will take now to complete this motor race.
We've had the fastest ever competitive lap in both qualifying and the race. We're going to have the longest distance completed in a 12-hour race on the mountain. This truly has been a record-breaking and new record-setting edition of the race, with more fans to witness it than ever before. That's another one to chalk off, and the 2016 Liqui Moly Bathurst 12 Hours is going into the history books. This event has turned a corner. It's international and global in every sense of the word. Look at the drivers, look at the manufacturers who are in the top positions. McLaren, from Nissan, from Bentley, from Audi, from Mercedes-Benz, the top 5.
Gio has taken 2.3 seconds out of the leader in the first 2 sectors of this lap. Yes, Shane van Gisbergen will be in more or less a cruise mode to get home, but it's going to be a lot closer than we thought. There he is, that's the gap, it's visual.
So this should be the start of the last lap for Shane van Gisbergen as he comes through. There's 1 minute and 5 to go.
It's 5:43 local time, plus 1 lap. Here comes Gio. What time does he do? It's a 2:02.46.
It's 5 seconds. 5 seconds for the final lap of the 2016 Bathurst 12 Hour.
You can almost see him. He's just over the brow. You just won't be able to see him.
Surely not. Surely not. 297th lap of the motor race, a record.
There could be no stumble from Van Gisbergen here with traffic, and Gio is on an absolute tear up Mountain Straight through Griffins. Again, the script writers have come up with an absolute classic. If you wrote this down, they'd call it fiction, as they're going up the hill now for what we believe is the final time. And Gio is within sight now. The marshals are clapping Van Gisbergen. Van Gisbergen is enjoying the evening sunshine, and Gio-san is still keeping him honest.
1.3 seconds closer in the first sector. The gap now down to under 4 seconds.
And Gio is coming hard. Has he just timed this to perfection? Shane van Gisbergen, surely this can't be taken away from Techno now. He's got a clear run ahead of him. Not much traffic to trim him up now, Trailsy.
Confirming final lap. Into the elbow for the final time. Shane van Gisbergen for Techno Autosports McLaren. You can see the Nissan in the rearview mirror.
It's another second gone in the second sector.
Gio is absolutely flying.
He's
Can
catching
Van
it.
Gisbergen erase the memories of Techno in 2014?
The teams are on the pit wall. Everyone is on the Liqui Moly start-finish straight. Van Gisbergen will be able to see the bright white headlights. He's got 3 corners as he comes through the Caltex chase for the last time. He'll just come down the hill towards Maguire's. The crowd, you can hear the crowd over the noise of the racing cars. Shane van Gisbergen can kick out the clutch. He's going to win it, but just Techno take it in 2016.
What a motor race. Chio across the line.
1.2 seconds. 1.2 seconds. What an astonishing end to that race.
That is amazing. Chio threw everything he had at Shane van Gisbergen. He fell 1.2 seconds short. What a motor race.
To complete the podium.
Stephen Kane for Bentley. Denied in the final corner last year. Agonisingly close to a podium on debut at Mount Panorama. The famous British mark. Well, they're going to bounce back with Matt Bell and Stephen Kane. Amazing stuff. Shay.
Jono Webb, that was much closer than we thought it would be. Your heart was beating like crazy, but congrats, you've won the 12 Hours of Bathurst. How are you feeling?
Oh, it's amazing. I mean, couldn't keep the butterflies down for the last hour or two. Once we had that last stop, we were pushing on. And look, Shane drove amazingly. All the boys have done a fantastic job, and what an awesome introduction for Techno to McLaren GT.
Congrats, and can't wait to hear from Shane.
Thank you.
Last time we saw a major endurance race won by McLaren was 2012, the Barcelona 24 Hours. We've seen wins in sprint racing in the United States and in Europe. But the last time we saw a race bigger than this won by the guys from Woking, it was 1995, and it was the Le Mans 24 Hours. What lies ahead for that grand British mark?
Yannick Dalmas and JJ Lato part of that.
And Masinora Sakaya.
Correct, yep. As part of that squad, an amazing victory. Bentley on the podium, so that's an enormous result as Shane van Gisbergen brings the 59 car. He set the qualifying lap record, the fastest ever lap of Mount Panorama. Yesterday in qualifying, he won the Alan Simonson Pole Award. He's broken the outright lap record in today's motor race.
You have to say that was an absolutely magnificent race, and made at the very end there by the fighting spirit of Nissan, the Nissan GTR, and excuse me, Katsumasa Chio. But this man has just bossed it all weekend.
Yeah,
what a race.
It's been an inspiring performance from him, and the way he's driven this racing car and asserted his authority when he needs it. Beretta's got the winner.
Well, Shane van Gisbergen, what an incredible weekend it's been, from pole position through to lap records for the race and through to the win tonight. What a gutsy driving effort it's been by you. Congratulations.
Oh, just thanks to the team. The car has been fastest all weekend, so to win that on strategy and then pace, it's amazing. So thanks to the guys, thanks to Jonathan and Alvaro. Big heart in the mouth moment when it stopped earlier, but she hung on for the rest of the weekend, so awesome.
It's a real fighting effort all day. Tell me about that Nissan coming up behind you. Were you aware of the Nissan closing?
Yeah, we had him covered, so anytime he did a lap, I just stuck the knife in and did the same. So just got it to the end. Bloody great.
How good was this car?
Oh, it's awesome. This is the car I raced in Europe, so she's a beauty.
All right, let's have a moment, catch up with John on the team. Well done.
And Alvaro Parent gets a Bathurst victory as well on his debut on the mountain. What a performance. 5 different brands in the top 5 for the second time in 2 years at Mount Panorama. And McLaren becomes the 5th different brand from 6 GT encounters on the mountain. So the diversity continues. Confirm the final results. It was McLaren, and we should mention the first win for Pirelli here as well. They threw everything they had at this weekend, and they delivered in the end. A runner-up result for the defending champions, and Bentley finally on the podium. Phoenix Racing, former winners, fought like anything and got home in 4th. And 1 lap behind in the final race for the SLS AMG for Erebus Motorsport in P5 was David Reynolds. Some walking wounded throughout the field, but a superb 12th outright for the Ridges Class B winner, Stephen Grove, Scott McLaughlin and Earl Bamber. The Mark Cars Australia car finished line astern with them for BM Pro Invitational. Jake Camilleri, Morgan Haber and young Aaron Seaton gets a Bathurst victory. Seaton wins at Bathurst. That's got a certain ring about it, doesn't it? 21 finishes from 36 starters, a bruising race in the end, and a lot of tale of woe to talk about. There'll be some long faces drowning their sorrows later on tonight, including the 2014 winners. Maranello Motorsport essentially outed on the opening lap of the race. It all started at 5:45 a.m. this morning as we take in our Nissan highlights. And what would be a theme for the day, car 59 went to the front. That was turn 2. Mika Salo and Nick Percat didn't make friends early in today's race, and that removed both cars from contention. Jared McLeod, the Mark Cars Australia Focus, the CCV car was off. Shane van Gisbergen dealt with the sun as he went over Skyline. The Brands of Donuts had an incident down there at the elbow, and there was some wild racing at the top. Cayman GT4 car, number 16, Pro Sport Performance car, all the way from Germany. Survived a wild moment at the top of Mount Panorama. CCV car found the fence again, and this was amazing racing. And bear in mind, with Alvaro Parent behind the wheel, they had an electrical gremlin in the McLaren. The car stopped on pit straight for 45 seconds, had to reset the car at one point. And for a while there, we thought that race might slip away, because later, Shane van Gisbergen got a drive-through penalty for speeding in pit lane. The Bentleys looked strong from the outset. Erebus Motorsport were in the game all day. Strange miscue in pit lane cost them some time, and punctures also ruled the roost here on the mountain. This was SVG with a spin in front. Luke Gilden behind the wheel of the JBS Racing Lamborghini. The locals are watching on. 31 Bentley will feel disappointed with their day today, Graham.
Both Bentleys suffering punctures and what could have been for Bentley, but they'll be happier this year with an overall podium.
At least they got one. In the end, they were denied last year. Ferrari had a pretty tough day. They have a massive presence around the precinct this weekend, but couldn't get the chocolates in the end. Mark Sini's Audi crashed. This was controversial, dubbed a racing incident in the end, and that removed another contender, because that number 37 Darrell Lee McLaren was on the lead lap.
And was leading the AM class at that stage.
Side-by-side racing was a feature. 29 different leaders today, a record for this motor race. 17-year-old Austin Cindric found the wall at turn 2. That removed one Erebus car from contention. And this was more wild racing. Wheel-to-wheel, Bentley and Nissan. Porsche in the wall, top of the mountain. Crunch.
For the APO Sport car.
And that took them out of the day's running. And there really were some damaged cars at the end of this motor race. Chio, one of the highlights was him going around the outside of Lawrence Vantor on Mountain Straight with two wheels off in the grass. And the sister McLaren, well, in the end, they managed to get that car to the finish in 9th place with Will Davison behind the wheel. Solid day after troubles early.
Absolutely, but the end of the race was all about Shane van Gisbergen fending off the ever closer tensions of the Nissan GTR. 1.2 seconds. What an astonishing finish again.
Chio threw everything he could at Mount Panorama for the second time in 2 years and came oh so close. Crowd, as is Bathurst tradition, assembled beneath the iconic podium here. Just over 37,000 people over 3 days. A record crowd, up 15% on previous years here at Bathurst for the Liqui Moly 12-hour. Great reaction. And a very, very strong competitive field has put on a great show today. So record number of lead changes, 5 different brands in the top 5. And McLaren joined the list of winners of this famous motor race at this place. I don't think Nissan can feel too disappointed with their results either, Graham. Very, very strong performance.
Not at all. They went down, but went down with honour and went down swinging.
Here's how the classes finished. AM Pro, we know, they're the outright winners. Greg Taylor, Barton Moore and Nathan Antoon, superb performance for car 5 in the AM division. And Nathan is 6th outright. Yeah, that's really strong. We mentioned the Grove Group Porsche with Le Mans 24-hour winner Alabama, and Scott McLaughlin won in Ridge's Class B, and the BM Pro Invitational for Mark Cars Australia. Time to go to the podium, and this could be a big celebration.
It's time for the 2016 Liqui Moly Bathurst 12-hour podium. And we're going to start with our outright winners. In 3rd place, Matt Bell, Guy Smith and Stephen Kane for Bentley Team M Sport. In 2nd place, Florian Strauss, Katsumasa Shiyu and Rick Kelly for Nismo Athlete Global Team. And in 1st place, for Techno Autosport, Jonathan Webb, Alvaro Parent, and Shane van Gisbergen. With the 3rd place trophy is the Mayor of Bathurst, Gary Rush. With the trophy for second place is Bruce Morrison, Managing Director of Motor Active. And with the winners' trophies, the Honourable Paul Toole, Minister for Local Government and State Member for Bathurst. Ladies and gentlemen, the 2016 Liqui Moly Bathurst 12-hour podium.
Oh, what a great celebration, and well earned by Jono Webb and the team. John, you look at this event and where it's come to this year, it has lifted a lot this year. It's been fantastic.
Oh, it's turned a massive corner, there's no doubt, Barrett. Just look at what's going on under the podium right now. We've broken every record that we possibly could. Qualifying lap record, race lap record, attendance lap record, and distance lap record. And I think when we add everything up tomorrow, you'll see there was more people watching here in Australia, and certainly a bigger international audience if the Twitter feeds and the social media is anything to go by. It's been absolutely extraordinary.
John, what about next year? Where does this event go in 12 months' time when we come back here?
Well, there's more new cars to come, Barrett. Can you believe it? More excitement. There's a new Ferrari, there's a new Porsche. We'll probably see some more Audis. And, of course, we saw the unveiling this weekend of the new AMG GT. That doesn't make it any worse, does it? It just pushes the field even deeper and means that these guys are going to have to work just that little bit harder.
Absolutely fantastic. And once again, we've seen a brilliant race, haven't we? I mean, to race for 12 hours and to see the separation between first and second just over a second is remarkable.
And the other thing is the variety right through the field, particularly in the Darrell Lee A-class, where you had 5 different manufacturers in the top 5 positions. That's GT racing. That's the variety that we get in a world-class event. And make no mistake, Barrett, this is a world-class event. People have stayed up all through the night in Europe to watch this, sticking by their computers and the syndication. This is a world-class event.
John, we love hearing you say that. It's been great to have you guys here again, the team from Radio Le Mans. To all our crew, thanks for your help. Hope you've enjoyed the 2016 Liqui Moly Bathurst 12 Hour. We'll see you next year.